Hi, my name is Miranda Hagerman, and for this week in Children's Lit, we are doing our challenged and banned books, and I'm going to present the banned books that I chose. Now, these books that I chose, I chose one book, but it's a part of a bigger series. And some of the reasons why I chose this, which is the Goosebumps series, written by R.L. Stine, is one, I knew that it was a frequently challenged book, just from personal experience, because I actually I fell in love with the Goosebumps books when I was like in late elementary school, early middle school. I absolutely loved them all. Every time I went to the library, I picked out a Goosebumps book, and I owned like a bunch of them as well. It was just great books. I loved them. I loved feeling like a little bit scared, and I was always into more of the supernatural and stuff like that, reading about that stuff. And that brings me to the book that I chose, and not exactly one of my favorites, but it's still a good one. I went to our local library here in Oklahoma. I live in Lawton, Oklahoma, and they had a very wide selection of Goosebumps, but they didn't have my favorite books, which I believe one of them's Ghost Beach, and the other one's One Day in Horrorland or something like that. But this one's really, really good. And I actually couldn't decide at the library which one I wanted to pick. So I picked up All Kinds because I love them so much. So I'm going to probably be reading Goosebumps again for the next little bit. But the one that I chose is called Attack of the Graveyard Ghouls. It is a Lexile level. It has a Lexile level of 440L. Its interest level and reading level is actually posted on the back of these books because they're all scholastic books, which is really interesting. So it says appeals to 4th through 6th grade readers, so that's the interest level. And the reading level is grade 4. So Lexile level 440L, interest level 4 through 6, and grade level 4. Now this book, it's really interesting. So these two kids, usually the Goosebumps books have two kids in them, sometimes more, and it's usually a boy and a girl. But in this specific book, there's a boy named Spencer and his friend named Audra, and they go on a school field trip to visit a graveyard. And they see this grave for these two boys. I think their names are Oswald and Martin, and the two boys are buried together under one tombstone. They're brothers. And Spencer accidentally knocks over the headstone. And after that, it all kind of goes crazy. The ghoulish figure of Oswald comes back from the dead and ends up actually pushing Spencer out of his body. And he possesses his body. And Spencer's in the spirit world, trying, like with other souls, trying to get back to Oswald. And while he's in the spirit world, all the other souls tell Spencer how evil the boys were when they were alive. So Spencer tries to get back home and beat Oswald by he possesses several different bodies. I think he actually ends up being a cat and a rat at some point. And then when Oswald in Spencer's body is out in the real world causing havoc, burning things down, smashes cars, and Spencer tries to find his friend Audra and ask for her help or whatever. And little does he know that Audra has actually already been possessed by the other evil little boy, Martin. And then he has to save Audra, and then they get together and they try to stop the two brothers. And then after they end up beating the brothers and the two ghost boys die, and then Audra and Spencer finally get their bodies back. But then at the end, it twists because Audra and Spencer end up in each other's bodies. They end up switching bodies. And I love the Goosebumps books. One, because of the, creepy, eerie, supernatural. It always leaves you, like the title says, with goosebumps. And he always puts little twists in it, like the characters can never really, sometimes they do, but they usually don't end up, they think that they have won or whatever, but like the little twist at the end, there's usually a little twist at the end that something goes bad. But the Goosebumps series as a whole is a very, very challenged series, not just this book, but all of R.L. Stine's books. I believe actually on ALA's website, I was looking it up, on their 100 most frequently challenged books for 1990 to 1999, they were actually number 15 on that list. So they were really, really high up. Nobody really liked his books. Well, the parents didn't like the books, being in the schools and stuff like that during that period. And then the next decade, 2000 to 2009, Goosebumps series was still on the ALA's top 100 frequently challenged books list, but it had dropped down a lot, and it was at 94, I believe. Now, the reason why I've gotten a lot of mixed, from over the years, I've gotten a lot of mixed reviews on the Goosebumps books. But a lot of parents do not want their children reading these books because they have supernatural qualities, it has magic, it has mystery, it's horror, it's fantasy, it has death in it. And a lot of people actually think that it has occult and satanic references and a lot of violence, and that the books might provoke harmful thoughts or behaviors in children, encourage disrespect for people, property, put bad thoughts in kids' heads. And Stephen King is actually referenced by a lot of people as Stephen King for kids. So that's kind of the gist of all the Goosebumps books. They're all very kind of scary. They all have a little bit of a dark humor, and they all have that supernatural or scary, death, violent kind of stuff in it. I was lucky because I think that, censorship is, people can do with their kids. Parents have rights to censor how they feel, but I feel like the Goosebumps books added to my reading experience as a child. I absolutely loved them. I thought that they were very well written, and they were, I got a very healthy sense of fear and a little bit of that, I got to escape into a different world, and I think that that's what a lot of kids crave when they start reading. So I believe that these are really amazing books. A lot of people don't. I know I grew up with a bunch of kids that weren't allowed to read these books or read or watch Harry Potter, or and that's fine. A lot of people have different views, and a lot of people have different way of raising their children, and that's an individual choice. But I personally think that these are amazing books, and they added to my childhood very much so, and I still enjoy reading them today. I'm really, really excited to see all of y'all's presentations, and I hope you guys have a good week. That's all I have for you right now. Thank you so much for listening.